I have a message from somebody. I'll get it in a second. So what's up? Wi-Fi's not working. Yeah? It was working before. While I'm doing this, I'll do a rap. I'm going to multitask. Ear?
Yeah.
Where's your ear?
It's right in front of you. No, it's not. No, never mind.
Okay. Thanks. All right, there we go. And I will read from my phone. All right, this is from Sam from Dim Shores, who couldn't be here, but he wanted to send a message. Okay, so this is from Sam Cowan of Dim Shores. Matthew Bartlett claims to come from somewhere called Northampton, although no one else I know has ever heard of it, and I'm not entirely certain it could be found on a map. I know he has a physical presence in our world. I met him and shook his hand. We even hugged. So he's not a ghost or a specter. We can rule that out right off the bat. But just who and what is he? Having read the bulk of his, quote, fiction, I'm not comfortable asserting that he is a true human. Given his knowledge of advanced technology, carelessly revealed in his, quote, story in the Resonator anthology, I feared he was actually a hero in a cunning disguise. But I discarded this idea in a little time. I looked very closely and couldn't detect any of the usual telltale signs of their human costumes. I mean, he also walked around outside in the sunshine, something I don't believe Darrows are capable of. Another possibility scratched from the list. Alien? I find that hard to believe. Although Star Trek had no problem visiting many worlds with inhabitants strikingly similar to our own, I've been told most aliens are so unlike anything we know, we wouldn't even recognize them for what they are. They are usually either, like germs, boiling masses of ultraviolet protoplasm, or big dick-headed bug monsters that mostly come out at night. Mostly. That's his word. None of these seem a good fit for Mr. Bartlett. Perhaps he is a witch. After all, many of his stories have to do with a sinister witch cult, and he is obviously familiar with that spiritual system of manipulation and control. I was ready to damn him based on this evidence alone, but he has a pronounced lack of facial warts, and I've never once seen him wear the pointy hat. Well, there was an incident with a broomstick and hallucinogenic, some word I don't know, in his exploratory youth, but I do not believe it was witch-related. So, not a witch. As you can tell, I have given this matter no little amount of study. Fortunately for the armchair investigator, the World Wide Web makes that a rather easy job. There are traces of Mr. Bartlett on multiple internet websites, with a veritable treasure trove of personal information, freely available to anyone who becomes one of his electronic friends on the Facebook service. Based on the numerous photographs he doesn't even try to hide, I have determined that the most likely explanation is this. Matthew M. Bartlett is nothing more than a golem made from the pages of many horrific books created and operated by an assortment of cats somewhere in Massachusetts. Their charismatic leader, or is it high priest, appears to go by the name of Lawrence, Larry to his friends. The Bartlett is their artificial thrall and imposes their will upon our human world. What can we do about this? Not much. Cats are impervious to most charms and hexes, and their resilience and deviousness is legendary. I've taken to carrying a small laser pointer and a copy of Shadow and Tall Trees Volume 1 at all times in case the Bartlett comes for me. I am fairly certain I can occupy it with tantalizing dot of a bright enough and long enough to say, look what I have here, STT1, wrapped in plastic. I think it might be signed by Michael Kelly. I will then drop it on the ground and make my escape while he's occupied with that rare prize. I urge you, be on your guard. Cats are cute and furry and little love bugs, but they do not have our best interests at heart. Who knows how many other dark golems are out there shambling around and writing stunning stories of darkness and wonder, distracting us from the nefarious plans of their cat overlords? And now that I have spilled their beans, I fear for my safety. In fact, was that a scratching at my window? Yes, it was. Oh no, it's found me. I really should try to run away or something, but instead I'll just keep describing this dangerous and terrible event as it happens. It's in the room now. The laser pointer does nothing. Oh, if only there was something else I could do. It is slowly reaching out for me, so slowly that I can easily avoid it, and in all probability flee with my life intact, but no, I will continue to cry. That was Sam. So, if you're friends with him on Facebook, just tell him you're entertained by that, all right? And if you don't know H.P. Lovecraft, you'll know that if you do know H.P. Lovecraft, you know that that's a trope. A trope, thanks for the word. But, so we found it funnier than a lot of you guys. All right, but yes, that's Matthew Bartlett, guest of honor, all right? It just, in weird fiction and horror, whatever you want to call it, let's face it, there's a lot of crap. Okay? Cat's out of the bag. But luckily, Mr. Bartlett's stuff is the opposite of that. He writes excellent stuff, creepy stuff, that, like I said, it takes a lot to creep me out or make me uneasy when I read fiction. So that's why when I do read a story by somebody who does that, I really gravitate towards it. Now we have somebody else who's going to say a few words. Brian, you want to come up?
Hello again. Back in September of 2015, I discovered Sam Cowan's small press Dim Shores. They had just released a second edition of Scott Nicolai's novella After, and I was not going to let it slip through my hands. While I saved up some money, I did a little research on Dim Shores and chapbooks. As I did this, I discovered that the second edition of their previous chapbook, Rangel, was still in stock. I had never heard of this Matthew M. Bartlett fellow who had written it, but I loved Aaron Alfree's art, and the Goodreads reviews were pretty favorable. I bought After, but I also bought Rangel just out of sheer curiosity. Well, the package from Dim Shores arrived, and I debated over which one to start with. I picked Rangel. Why? Because it was shorter. Immature, I know, but it's the truth. I started on Rangel immediately. And unusually for me at that time, I finished the book in a day. It was compulsively readable. The crisp, to-the-point sentences carried you along the page before blooming into eloquently written descriptions of grisly phenomena. And I had never read anything like it. Up until then, I had mainly been reading Lovecraft and Poe with occasional delves into Nadia Bolkin and Nathan Ballingood. Rangel was unnatural, an understatement really. It didn't require an explanation. It started out with restraint before spiraling into a literal parade of grotesque and weird imagery. Another strength was how, particularly towards its climax, it managed to hint at so much more. It felt like I had been hit by a car. Well, I was sold. I talked to Sam Cowan about it via Facebook Messenger, describing it as, all caps, excellent. As we chatted, he said, that Bartlett is onto something special. Have you read Gateways to Abomination? Of course I hadn't. You definitely want to read Gateways. Any Bartlett's good, but the sum total of that book is especially powerful. I didn't get to Gateways until December, ironically, but when I did finally read it, I was floored. It was even better than Rangel. The thing about Matt's stories is that they really have an effect on you. These effects will vary from person to person, but to me, they make me feel like I've done something horrible, something unspeakable, unforgivable. He invokes various emotions to make the reader feel that way. He utilizes disgust, pathos, but perhaps most disturbingly, he uses humor. And let me tell you, it's an unnerving experience when you've just read something unspeakably nasty and you find yourself laughing at it. But most of all, he invokes fear. He makes you feel ungrounded, makes you feel like you're completely alone in a strange place where all emotions and thoughts and memories are a dizzying blur. You'll laugh and you'll cry and you'll feel guilty about laughing and crying, but there's no escaping the endless warp of surrealism. Grotesque images will parade before you and you will want to both run away and join in. No artist has ever evoked all of that emotion in me at once. No artist has ever made me feel so ungrounded. Matt is my favorite writer, living or dead, and his broadcasts will echo down through the generations. Matt, I want to personally say that I am grateful that I got to meet you here today. I want to congratulate you on being the guest of honor at Krallcon, and most of all, I want to thank you for the privilege of letting us all tune in to WXXT.
Thank you, Brian, again. You did a better job than I did. I think next year you'll have my job. All right, well.
Why wait till next year?
All right, we have something special to give to Matthew. Actually, can I have my Dynatox employees, Dave, you want to come up just to... Yeah, management. What? I'm just sexual joke. I know you could beat me up. Okay. All right. So, Matthew, being the guest of honor, Dunham's presents you with the first ever Krallcon / Dunham's Manor Writers Retreat Award, crafted by our very own Dave Felton. I'm afraid I didn't take pictures of it because I didn't want to take it out of the box. I'm going to take some pictures. Yeah, and then I'll take a picture of you with it too.